what is tolerance? Okay, so let's go back to maybe 37. Tolerance is the range of acceptable measurements. It's the range of acceptable measurements. So, if you go to 38, there's always a max, like the highest we are allowing in this industry, and there's a low. And tolerance is the range. Think of range as the distance between. Okay? If you look up here, the smaller your tolerance, right, the smaller the range, there's less wiggle room. Okay? So if you're in the aerospace industry, if you're making parts for airplanes, there's not going to be a whole lot of tolerance, right, with that part that you just made. It has to be like bang on. So their tolerance is probably like, if you had it to scale, it would probably be like this. Engine parts, engine components. I work on cars a lot. Not that I'm good at it, but I don't have the money to pay a mechanic, so I just YouTube everything. But if it's not bang on, like it's not gonna work. If you use a bolt that kind of looks the same, but it doesn't fit, it's not going to fit, right? So the tolerance is very small when it comes to car parts, particularly in the engine, okay? Electronics, iPhones. What's the voltage that iPhones are charged at? 20 volts? Volts. I think it's like 5-ish. 5. So when you have that lightning plug, it automatically has it down to 5 volts. But do you think that's always perfectly 5 volts in real life? It fluctuates. Electricity does this. It fluctuates. So guess what? When you make that iPhone, do you think they build in some tolerance for voltage fluctuation? Do you think the makers, they design it? Yeah, they design it so that if it goes a little higher, it's not going to fry your thing. If it goes a little lower, it may not charge it as fast, but it will still charge it, right? Like it's not like it's all or nothing. So there's always some tolerance, okay? So tolerance is what range is acceptable so that you can still use it. Listen carefully. If you want to talk about it, if I ever ask you, hey, use the concept of tolerance to talk about this particular case. You want to mention what would happen if it's either too small or too large. What happens if you don't use enough or if you use too much? You want to talk about either one of them, okay? You're listening, right? Uncertainty, how's uncertainty and tolerance related? Uncertainty is set by your measuring device, right? It's just fixed. We just figure out the precision, boom, and then we figure out the uncertainty, half of it. There's nothing you can do. No industry can change this. That's just a fact. Tolerance, however, it is set by the industry, and it has to do with a lot of components, right? A person could have made a mistake while producing something. Maybe it was Friday at 5 in the afternoon. They were thinking of what they're going to do this during the weekend. The equipment may have been faulty, right? Something may have happened. So the industry looks at it, it's like, hey, a door. If it's a little smaller, big deal. Not a big deal, right? We're just going to make a little, you know what weather stripping is? I wish I had a camera, but if you look at that door right now, there's a rubber seal all around it. Like, look at where the door meets the frame. Some of you are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right here. See this metal, this aluminum thing here, and then there's a rubber right inside. That rubber is sealing that gap that is there, right? So we have ways to cover up small imperfections. So guess what? When the contractor comes with the door and it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's a bit too small. Oh, let's just toss it, right? No way, right? That's way too much money. They're going to be like, well, no problem. We've got something to cover up the gaps, right? So the industry kind of decides what's okay and what's not, okay? They decide what's acceptable. But if it's way too small, then obviously it's not going to work. If it's too big, it's also not going to work, okay? It's not going to close. So, on your study sheet, you should have these 4. You should have tolerance, right? the heading tolerance, and you should have these 4 ways of stating tolerance on your study sheet. Okay? Maybe at some point today you're going to do that. I need you to have that on there. And what did I tell you about the nominal? What is the nominal? Anybody? Nominal is the target. Yes. I heard you. I heard you loud and clear. That's right. And so these 3 always have the nominal in front. These 3. There's always a bunch of stuff happening, but there's one big number at the front, right? Except for this one. This one doesn't have just a number at the front. You just see 2 numbers stacked. Or the question could say the min is this, the max is that. That's all you have to go off of. In that case, in such cases, we have to figure out the nominal, and we just basically add the 2 up. Make sure you put the brackets there before you divide by 2. Okay? Or you hit equals before you divide by 2. And that's telling us that it's somewhere halfway between. Literally. Like if this is the min and this is the max, then the nominal is like right there. Okay? The nominal is right here. The max is up there and the min is down here. So it's right halfway. All of these ones, guys, it may not necessarily be halfway, especially with these 2. Okay, it may not be halfway. It could be the lowest. It could be the highest. It doesn't have to be halfway. But at this one, we are just going to assume that that's the case. Okay? So, I want to practice a couple with you here. Let's go to 39. And I'm gonna assume you were already kind of checking out, maybe halfway towards the end there. A lumberyard cuts strips of wood. The strips need to follow a tolerance of, and here you have it. You're in the tolerance section. 45 plus or minus half of 4 millimeters. I immediately convert the half of 4 to this. You know what, guys? Whatever is in there, let's say it's like half of 0.035. Okay? You just divide this in half, and that's what this would be. So whatever's inside the brackets, if you have the half in front of it, just divide it by 2, and then you get that. And so then we kind of ignore this moving forward. We're just going to deal with this. Okay? So we wanted to know these 4 items can always be drawn out of any tolerance that I give you. Any of the 4. You can fill this in. So I get my max. I go this plus 2, right? 45 plus 2 to give me my max. To get the min, I go 45 minus 2. Right? Tolerance, I'll always tell you subtract these 2 to get your tolerance. That's the safest way to do it. Okay? Tolerance, you should have that on your study sheet. Tolerance mathematically is always max minus min. Okay, that's just a definition of it. And then the nominal, I just grabbed it straight off of this. I didn't do any calculating because this is in one of the formats where the nominal is right up front. Okay? And we realized that this format is this one right here. So we're not going to rewrite it again in that format. So you're down to 3 left. And so on your study sheet, you would be like, well, I need this format, max and min. So you just take these 2 numbers, stack them. This one right here, it calls for the minimum first. Go read it off of this. That's your minimum. Minus 0 plus whatever the tolerance is. It happened to be 4. So now you wrote it in this format. You want it in this. It calls for max first. That's 47. We put the 47 in there. Plus 0. No problem. Minus tolerance. We already know it is 4 from the previous question. And there you have it. So that's how you rewrite. Take whatever you get, right? And then you spread it out into the 4. Right? Take that, fill in these 4. Then rewrite it into any format you would like. Pay attention to this part, okay? I'm going to try to give you an example of what happened on the provincial exam. They'd be like, there's the tolerance of a measurement. How is this, like, how else can you write the tolerance for this one? And they may give you a bunch of options, right? And this one is in there. And you're like, well, how could you come up, right? How could you take this and come up with that? Well, I would want to state my case is that if you take these 4 items out of any tolerance, okay, it'll be very clear to you which one is the one, okay? Because you can see that 47, 43 is the max and the min. And that's what you're supposed to have, right, when they're stacked. So that's your choice in this case, right? You could also, if this one happens to be one of your options, A, B, C, D, right? And you look at this one, it's like, could this be it? Well, let's see. If it's minus 0, then this has to be the min. The min is 43. Okay, that checks out. Minus 0 is there anyways. Tolerance, is it 4? Yes, according to my calculation, that is 4. So this one matches this one. Because all 3 of these match that one. They're all saying the same thing in different ways. Okay? All right, let's go over here. Which of the following strips would be acceptable? So this. When it's like this, you want to know what's your max here. It is 47, right? And your min is 43. Anything in here is check. Anything outside, either on the high end or on the low end, is going to be rejected. So let's see. Is this piece going to be okay? 43.01 is just inside here, right? Like, this is the 43. 43.01 is right there. That one is okay. That one passes the test. 47.01. That one is just out here. Because this is the 47. This one is outside, correct? So this one gets the boot, right? Not acceptable. 42.99. That one is just outside. Just outside the 43. Doesn't qualify. Would not be acceptable in this case. 42.79, where is that? That's like even further away from the 43 line, right? So it's also not okay. So the only one that we would accept in this scenario is that one. Okay? I'll do one more with you. And let's see how that goes. You know what? I'm going to pick one. I'm going to hand pick. I'm going to ask you to go to 41. 41, the second example. So there's this one up top. We're going to do this one. So I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. What does this, do you recognize the units here? Decibels? Yeah. That's how loud, right? The sound is. So it doesn't even matter, guys, what units they throw at you. You just use them, okay? You use them in your final answer. It could be Mr. D. That could be the unit. You'll just use that, right? Anyways. So what format is this in? You look at your study sheet. You would agree that this one right here is talking about this format right here, correct? You've got only 2 values, they're stacked. It's this one. So guess what? Your minimum is 55. Your maximum is 65. You don't have to calculate anything. You don't have to add or subtract. It is that. You can just fill that in. There we go. What's my tolerance? 65 minus 55. So it's 10 decibels. What's the nominal? I was nice to you, I put that there. What's the nominal in this case? Yeah, it's in between, 60, right? But you should have the nominal formula in this case goes like this. what is that? 70, that's 120 divided by 2. So it's 60, right? So 60 decibels. This is halfway between 55 and 65. Okay. So that's the target. We know that this format is this one, so we're not going to rewrite it anymore. We're just going to focus on the other three now. This calls for minimum, which is 55. Put units everywhere. Okay. Minus 0, plus 10 decibels. Check. Okay. This one called for max, which is 65. Plus 0 decibels, minus whatever the tolerance is, because that's what this calls for. There you have it. Got it. Check. Next, nominal, 60 plus or minus half of whatever my tolerance is, which is 5. Can I prepare you for all possible scenarios? I'm trying. I think I just need you to always think of it this way, okay? This is one more go at it. I probably will try one more time after today, but if you see this, you should always be thinking that there's like an upper line, a lower line, okay? So this is 55. This is 65, right? Can you see that? You can't see it, sorry. What's the difference between here? I call this the tolerance, and that is 10. Okay? And where's my nominal in this case? In this case, it's right in between here. It's right halfway, okay? Which is 60. So I always want you to think of this. We have a low, we have a high. Tolerance is the difference between, and nominal is our target, which may be halfway through, but it may also be this one, it may also be that one, right? It could vary. So that's very dependent on the scenario. I'm going to do one more. This one I called weird. I don't know which category to put this one in. On page 42. Question, Vince? No? This one right here. What do you think of this one? Does it fit any of the 4? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Jackson. These ones right here. It sort of is like these two, but is there a 0 anywhere on this one? No 0. So they did that to us one year, and every time they do that, I just want to like let them have a piece of my mind, but I don't know who to talk to about that. I just write it in that little feedback form. Anyways, don't let this throw you off. Remember, these 4 should always be able, you should always be able to answer these 4. Always. So to get your max, simply do this. And what is that? 3.1 kgs. Min, you go 2.85 minus what? Right here, 0.15. That is 2.7, right? What's the tolerance? Subtract. What's the nominal? This one right here. Okay? If you've got more than 2 numbers, how about I say it this way? If you've got more than 2 numbers, it's the one right up front. Okay? 2.85. Now you can actually rewrite it in all four of these. Max min. Oh, I've got it right here. 3.1, 2.7. This one, what's my minimum? It's right there, 2.7. minus 0 kgs plus, what's the tolerance? 0.4. Max, what's the max? 3.1. Plus 0. Minus, I already know the tolerance is 0.4. And last but not least, nominal. It's 2.85. Plus or minus, you just have to have a good study sheet, that's all. All of these are saying the exact same thing, just in a different way. Why would, so every industry probably has a preference. For example, if they're making, did we talk about dog food already on Thursday? I don't know if I talked, but let's say you're bagging, you're filling up bags with dog food. And you're like, as the owner, you're like, I absolutely do not want you to overfill the bags. Because what does that mean for the company? They're losing money, right? If they give you more than 3 or 3.1, they're losing money. So the owner is like, hey, this is what I would like you to do. It's okay to be over by 0, like you don't want to go over. If it's a little less, it's not my problem, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little biased in that situation to that particular situation. An airport, a landing strip for an airport. Wouldn't you want to go with something like this? The landing strip has to be 5 kilometers, cannot be shorter at all. It's okay if it's a bit longer, no problem, right? You've got more of a runway, but you don't want to be shorter than like the 5, right? We're aiming for 5 kilometers. Sorry, I know this is kgs, I know that, but I'm just using it to help you out here. How about this? I will give you some class time to work through these questions and ask me if you need help. All right, guys? Are you awake? Oh yeah, I didn't give you snacks today. I forgot to refill. You know that we have special snacks, right? That's why we always have them, so that you pay attention. Anyways, maybe if you work, I'll run down and see if they refilled my bin, okay? So 39 all the way to wherever you stop. Like I'm not gonna stop you at this point, but let's say for now, we go from 39 to 44. 44, watch this, it has some weird stuff there, but I need you to, we're gonna talk about it in a bit. But for now, I'm just gonna let you go through that yourselves. If you're done everything up until that point, keep going. Keep going. So I'm going to go to 39, and I'm going to say page 39 to 44. But make sure you work, okay? Don't scroll, don't do the doom scrolling.